Boom. All right. We're here with episode 9 of the Neuro Bros Show with Russ Parker and Karl Sterling. And it is Monday, February or March 15th. Man, where's the year going? Although I'm ready for spring.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I like where the winter's going away.
Yeah, away is good. I'll tell you, man, it was 65 here on Wednesday, and now it's 11 today, but I think it might be 20
Yes,
now. But
it's cold.
in another month, it'll be very springy, I'm sure. Hey, how you doing, Russ?
Great, great. I don't mind actually this time of year when you get a few cold spells. The cold, crisp air is nice. When you know spring is coming, it's not so bad.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. For sure. So for those who are watching, let me turn down my volume here. So on Facebook Live, we are there. If you have any questions, just type them in the comments, and we're going to go right till 11 o'clock, and then we'll sign off. I do apologize again for any confusion earlier, but here we are now. So I'm going to repeat one thing I said, which is if you scroll down in my post, I didn't put it in this post because I just wanted to get in a hurry here and get going. I did start a Patreon page. We've put a lot of free education out there, and we're happy to do that. It's not that, we're not hungry for money or anything like that. However, it takes time, resources, and, well, mostly time. And we're happy to do that. I'm happy to do it. Russ does it. So if you scroll down on my wall, you'll see the neuromotor training Patreon page with 5 different levels. Hey, it's an experiment. You never know. So for as little as the price of 2 lattes a month, or maybe less, $10, you can go and support us. Well, where does the money go? It goes right to the Parkinson's Global Project nonprofit, 501c3. We've donated thousands of dollars around the world to, I say around the world, it is. It's about a half dozen different countries and many families and people. And, Russ has donated a lot and helped so many people. And that's what we're here for. So we're thinking that if you like what we bring to you, whether it's through the Neuro Bros Show or whether it's on the YouTube stuff that I do, or it's the online institute, which we have, and you go to the Patreon thing, you'll see that you'll get access from levels 2 to 4 or 2 to 5. So out of 5 levels, 2 through 5 give you access to the institute, which is brand new. And I got to give you a code for that, Russ, so you can get in. And, that helps us to help others. So that's it for that. Russ, how you feeling?
Feeling okay. I got this just get the one issue with my my hip arthritis, but that'll be dealt with one way or the other first half of this year. So
Yeah,
it's been very active last few months, though. I'm taking on a lot of projects. Been a lot of fun.
that's
Engaging
cool.
more in social media too. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about one post I made that seemed to get a good positive reaction. It was just a different thought,
Hmm.
just about a different thought process about looking at things in a positive manner.
I saw that. Yeah, share about that if you will, please.
Well, I just try to. I mean, I'm a realist too, but I have a reputation for being a very optimistic person, and I try to leverage that by taking that to the farthest degree I can. So, a recent thought I had was that I even try to look at, we all have our ups and downs, setbacks and comebacks. So I try to look at, frustrating things that have happened or setbacks or whatever. I try to not even look at those things. I just view those as lessons I learned in the past and try not to even think in terms of coming back. I just always think in terms of improving from the present point I'm at. I just look at everything in the present. This is my state. I accept that.
Hmm.
And now I'm ready to move forward. So I identified a term I call, instead of like saying comebacks or recovering from a problem, I just identify periods in my throughout the year or whatever that I call surges. So every now and then you get this this period where you've sucked in a lot of information, things that have happened to you, things that I've learned from classes, things that I've learned from other people from Parkinson's, from other professionals. All these things come together, and I say to myself, okay, I'm ready to take things with some aspect of my life, my movement or whatever, to a new level. And I just say it's time for a new surge. So the new surge is on. I have some new goals, new techniques I want to try.
That's great, man.
And I always want to try to keep my expectations high, but figure out how to meet those expectations. So I always just try to keep positive outlook that way. And yeah, you have to be a realist too. I'm not always trying to paint a rosy picture to everyone, and I'm actually going to kind of maybe go off program a little bit, because like I said, I'm usually always positive. But April's Parkinson's Awareness Month, so I'm prepared. I'm writing down a whole bunch of things about Parkinson's awareness, and I plan to fill all 30 days. Make a post
Oh yeah, that's
every
great.
day, to bring out awareness about symptoms, about emotional things, about what we can do, what we get frustrated about. So people who don't have Parkinson's and do have Parkinson's, whatever, the whole audience, understands a little bit more. So
That's
they
great,
know
man.
where we're all coming from. So
Yeah.
I'm on a surge.
Well, I saw that post, and I like that post a lot. It actually puts things a little bit into perspective for me differently. I need to be reminded on a regular basis of my reality, which is, despite any issues I've had with my health, I'm perfectly fine now. And, so if I don't smell anything, whatever, if my memory is still a tiny bit, not much brain fog, whatever, from COVID, but man, I can get up, I can move, I can do stuff. I really, really wanted to take a nap between 9 and 10 today, and I could have done that. And I fought through it, and I didn't do it because I just wanted to see how much I could get done before we started. And I got everything done that's on my list today that I'm supposed to do. So yay for me. Maybe nap time around 2 o'clock like usual, but I really wanted to do that this morning. And the reason I bring it up is because it became a choice. How am I going to feel after that? Probably pretty good. How am I going to feel if I get a lot done? Actually, really good, like better. So, isn't it kind of funny how it is? Like, that's actually like a big deal for me. It's so ridiculous because there are other people who, can't get out of a chair, they can't walk, they can't do this, and they can't do that. So, if I don't do it, well, sometimes anyway, shame on me because I can. And usually, if I start doing stuff, I just get the energy to keep going, anyways. Like today, I have quite a bit of energy right now, even though an hour ago I was ready to crash. Choices, I guess. Choices, right? Fight through it. Fight through it. You do that. You inspire me a lot, man.
Oh, I get inspired by so many others, and I feel my life has been enriched by people. Not that I want to have Parkinson's, but actually, a lot more people have been brought into my life because of that, and some great people. And I love growing by meeting all different people and learning from them and sharing, common interests, and surrounding myself with kind people. Like I'm very lucky. Most of all the friends I have, I said most, all the friends I have, as far as I know, are kind people. Otherwise, they wouldn't be my friends. But it's been an interesting ride. Just got to keep moving ahead. I had a schoolmate in high school that in his junior year at the beach, he dove into a sandbar. He didn't know there was a sandbar, and he got paralyzed. He hit his head hit the sandbar, and he was paralyzed. So he was wheelchair bound his whole life. And I often thought about, he was on the basketball team with me and everything. I often thought about him through the years you know, and I wonder how he, you know, how he made out. You know, he was a nice guy, and I was
Mhm.
always, you know, whenever I thought about him, you know, I thought to myself, you know, I hope, you know, maybe his condition got a little better, or at least that he had a happy life. His condition didn't really get better, but I found, I came across a book he wrote. So you talk about inspiration, you know, he's paralyzed, you know, and pretty
Mhm.
much just have like a little bit of movement in his hands, and that's it. Um, you know, I read his book and I was inspired, and I was so happy to see that he ended up with a good life. He had a long 30 plus years in information technology,
Wow.
you know, as like a computer analyst.
Yeah.
And he married his was a nurse in one of the hospitals, I guess, where he was at, and they had a long marriage. Just passed away recently, but very
Oh.
inspiring story. So I got to reconnect with him for a little while on Facebook, only like the last few years, and I talked to him and everything.
Oh.
But you know, you talk about tough conditions. You know, imagine, you know, you can't lift your hands all the way up to
Yeah.
your face or whatever, and there's like a fly. There's a fly on your nose or something like
Mm.
that, and you can't do anything about it. You know, or things like that. You know, I think about, you know, what he had to go through, pretty much not being able to move almost
It's like
anything.
those, yeah. It's like those little things I've been guilty of taking for granted until I learn that others may not have the ability that I do. You know, and I say this all the time, but seriously, early on when I started teaching any of this stuff, I realized that there are people who can't roll over in bed. So you wake up, first problem, can't roll over. So if you can't roll over, you can't get out of bed. Man, how would that be starting your day like that? You know, so I never even thought about it. And like you just said, you got a fly in your nose or something, but you can't move your arms and you can't get the fly to go away. Beth Conway Litras says, "Good morning, gentlemen." Well, good morning, Beth.
Hey,
Thanks for being with us.
Beth
Thank
is
you.
one of my Long Island friends.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
I
sorry,
like
Beth.
those Long Island
She may
people.
not want to reveal her location, but
Well,
anyway.
the, the cat's out of the bag now. We know where you are. You're on Long Island, but you know, that was one of my favorite workshops we did down there too, a couple years ago. That was really fun. Good group.
Yeah, it was good.
Hey, Ed.
Hope to have another one down there.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you. Finally, I haven't wanted to travel, and I don't really want to travel much. I do need to travel a little bit though. So I might be going to Indianapolis in May to the Mecum Auto Auction to actually work and drive some of those cars. A friend of mine's going to hook me up.
Oh,
The guy who's the host of the show, the voice, Scott. Boom, I got this
oh,
microphone from him and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm a car junkie, especially muscle cars. So I like pretty much any kind of car. I find them fascinating. So that'll be a shorter trip, but man, I'm looking forward to doing like maybe 3 or 4 live workshops a year. I think it would be really good and healthy to do, which actually leads me into the next thing that I want to talk about before I pretty much turn everything over to you for corrective exercise. And what it is um, this whole thing about socializing and connecting with people. Um, you know, I'm a people guy. I really enjoy my alone time. I have to tell you, I very much like it.
Yeah, finally,
Not all,
I haven't
not
wanted
all the time though. You know what I'm saying? I
this
need
whole thing
people.
about
I need to
socializing.
connect with people, and I have an echo here. And so, but there are a lot of people who need people, and they're not getting people right now because of whatever. I work with a lot of those people in different assisted living or independent living facilities or at their houses where they live alone. Nobody comes to see them the past year. Now it's starting to change a little bit though, so that's kind of a big relief for a lot of people, right? So I might be the only person they see on a regular basis 2 3 times a week. So I'm glad to be able to be someone that they say we can work together and do stuff. But there's a research that came out of Harvard and Stanford, of course, the two places I follow pretty much every day to watch what publications are coming out. Well, it's very interesting about how the Huberman lab in Stanford and another lab in Harvard I think they did this independently, but it's almost like they came up with the same stuff. Um, and it's no surprise to find out that for those who want to be socializing and need to connect with people, whether, whether it's in person or Zoom or even a phone call, like old fashioned, get on the phone, something that I don't do as much because I can text instead, which is many times what I'd prefer to do. But, you know, it's actually good for your immune system to be socializing with people. And let's say some people aren't that social, but for those who are and who are lacking, maybe they're lonely. Well, sometimes reaching out, I've been reaching out to people, some people like once a week, a quick phone call, 5-10 minutes. It's not a big deal to do that. And in fact, when I get done talking with them, because they all live alone and they're all like really wanting to see people and they don't feel quite comfortable yet, it makes me feel good. They feel good. And it's just trying to stay in touch. And this whole thing about connecting with others, all I'm going to say without going into sciencey data, other than the oxytocin and the serotonin, mostly the serotonin, that is created by connecting with somebody or somebodies in a group or one-on-one, that makes you feel happier because it's a happy hormone. But there are all these other neuromodulators and neurochemicals that are released that are good for the immune system. So I just wanted to share that because even before the pandemic, one of the things we know is in the Parkinson's population, statistically, and in movement disorders, such neurological movement disorder population as well, is oftentimes socialization is something that people, well, they see less of it because they may, for various reasons, maybe they're self-conscious or whatever about tremors, or maybe falling, or maybe their speech isn't the way they want it to be to communicate. Well, statistically, we know that many people tend to gradually withdraw from socializing. And then this creates depression, anxiety, and actually, it's not good for the immune system. So I'll finish this by saying, if you like to socialize and you don't feel you're getting enough of it, try to find a way. Maybe reach out to someone, say hello, get online, FaceTime, Zoom, old fashioned phone call, whatever. 5 minutes might make them feel better, might make you feel better, and it'll be good for your immune systems. We really need people more than ever right now, even though it's looking kind of up now, right? The trajectory is looking good, but we're nowhere near there yet, getting back to normal. And that's all I have that's new for today. That is it.
Yeah, and that all relates, of course, to all that positive energy that you get from being social. That it also helps our movement. And
Yes.
so many people watching may know Gavin Mogan.
Yeah.
He does a lot of posts he does a lot of sports movements, basketball, baseball, things like that.
Mhm.
And he does a lot of mindfulness. And he could get himself, even sometimes when he's in off state, where he kind of feels the energy flowing and get himself moving in a better way, just from that kind of feeling that you get when you're in the moment and really into what you're doing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a social thing, but it's just more or less kind of getting yourself you're in the right mindset. So we've had discussions on that, and I've had examples. Somebody was asking Gavin, "Oh, well, how do you describe this?" And he said it's more of like kind of like feeling the energy in the room kind of thing, whether that's coming from people or just from what you're
Mm.
doing or the music you're listening to while you're doing whatever it is. Feeling that energy sometimes really boosts your dopamine enough to get moving. And I've experienced this with dancing for the most
Mm.
part. A few examples, a few times when I've gone out socially with my wife. We used to, when things were open up, we used to go to dance socials, and you step into the room and you're just in the mood to move and have fun and see people. So I've had a few moments where I've stepped in the room. I just felt great, just mentally. And that first dance, sometimes I felt like when I was, in my 30s or whatever, just
Oh,
like I didn't even have Parkinson's. And like even one
right.
time I did that, and Donna said to me, she said, "Oh, you were moving really, you were really good." And then there was another moment, actually, when I was at NASM Optima, not the one we were at together, Karl. The next year, there was a dance party, and I just decided I was going to dance a lot. And this is a fit for everyone. This is like a fitness conference, and a lot of people there are a lot of young people there and everything. So there was a lot of energy in the room, and I was like dancing all night, and I was like going like crazy, and I felt like I felt like I was like 20 years old, and it was from the energy. So I just wanted to share that. How
No,
important that is.
I think it's great stuff. The energy in a room is huge, can be huge. Um,
And like I said, you could create that not necessarily even with people. Sometimes just putting on some music that gets you pumped up.
oh yeah, totally. I mean, here we go again, right? But this book, it really talks about that to some degree. Talks about the neurochemicals created in a lot of different situations and how the creation of those chemicals can be beneficial for a multitude of issues: depression, anxiety, walking, gait, movement. My little doggy just came in to say hi. Hi, honey. How you doing? You want attention? I think I'm okay as long as she doesn't start knocking stuff over. She's like a 2-year-old. She knocked over one of the lights the other day. Okay, I gotta sign off now. I mean, I don't have to, but I did the other day though, right, Brandy? Right? Yeah, we go for a ride every day, and she's my canine. She's the canine unit in the family. We patrol the streets and make sure everyone's safe in my village. We'll do that around 2 o'clock, sweetie. So Russ, do you have a more corrective exercise for us?
Yeah,
Because
well, last time we covered the releasing the calf. So we're kind
yeah,
of going from the bottom up, and corrective exercises just to kind of get your muscles in balance so you have good posture, good efficient movement. And we're going to go through some of the typical things that relate to
great.
good posture and gait for people with Parkinson's. So those main areas usually are like the dealing with the ankle, foot, calf, and then the hips and glutes. And
This is for Jan Heller. I'm sorry. And
okay,
in a minute, I'm going to make you big, and I'm going to
okay,
run her downstairs and outside for a second. But this is it: the neurological handbook of neurological music therapy. It's a little pricey, like $50, but it's worth every penny. And it's a textbook. It's not an easy read. It's not a read. It's a study. And I'm sorry, Russ, I totally interrupted you. So I'm gonna just run downstairs, but I'm gonna make you
okay.
in the spotlight, and I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead, my friend.
And those other areas too with the posture would be your upper torso area, getting things back, and your neck as well. But so today we're still on the bottom area, and I had showed how with a foam roller or with a ball how to release the calf muscle, and this is going to help influence dorsiflexion, which is a movement that's important in gait. And the dorsiflexion is when you bend your ankle, so like your toes are coming up towards your shin. That's so you could cock your foot and then come down and push off when you walk. So if your calves are over tight, that reinforces more like your toes being pointed and walking on your toes to be able to bend up and then push down. So you want to try to keep your make it so your calves aren't too tight, and you could bend your ankle up. One test you could do is you could sit down and see how much you could bend. So see my foot here is pointed. You see how much this is flexing, and to see how much you can flex up. If there's if you're just at a 90-degree angle here, That's not good. You want to be able to bend your ankle in somewhat. Some people's feet are more like this, and then they end up walking on their toes. So you want to be able to bend up like this. So I showed how to release your calf. I won't go over that again. At some point, maybe we'll have a full webinar, and we'll go through each area, how to release, how to stretch a muscle, and how to activate the muscle that encourages the good movement. So you should always follow. It's a good idea to follow a release of muscle tightness with the foam roller or ball or whatever with a stretch. So first thing I'm going to show you is the calf stretch, and I'll show you some techniques to enhance the traditional calf stretch. So this is just a static stretch, and we went through the concept of dynamic stretches too, which is movement, but I'm just going to show you a static stretch. So we'll pretend this chair is a wall here. I'm going to hold on to the chair. So you're going to put 1 foot forward. So in this case, my left foot is forward and my right foot is back. Okay, so stand relatively upright. I'm holding onto a wall. And then what you want to do is, this back foot is the foot I'm stretching the calf on. You want to turn your toes slightly inward, pointing inward towards the center of your body. And what you want to do is you want to step your front foot out to the side laterally a little bit like this. Okay, so what this is doing is when you lean forward, it's creating a little bit more torque on that calf. So stand upright, you lean into it, feel the stretch in your calf, and you can hold this for 30 seconds. What I like doing is kind of doing a cross between a static stretch and a little bit of an active stretch. You could hold for 20 seconds, and then relax, and then go for another 20. I like that because when you relax and come back into the stretch, you'll be able to take it a little further. And to further enhance the stretch, so now I'm in the stretch position. If you tighten up your gluteal muscle, you'll feel more of a pull on your calf. So that's the calf stretch. So now we want to encourage, there's something called activation. So this is the motion I was talking about, dorsiflexion, when you're pulling up the foot. So one thing you could do is do just that. You could do exercises where you hold onto the wall and you're just pulling your ankles up like you're trying to bring your toes towards your knees or your shins. Trying to decrease that angle between the foot and the shin. Just pulling up like that. Now, one tip along the way as we do exercises, we'll try to point out tips for the best way to do exercises and also kind of do's and don'ts. So one don't on this exercise, one cheat that people do that I see a lot is these, when we do this corrective exercises, except for when we integrate movement, a lot of times we're isolating one part of the body. So what you don't want to do is move other parts of the body to kind of cheat to make this happen. And what people do a lot of times is they rock their butt back, and then you see how my feet go up. But that's no good, because the only reason the feet are going back is because my butt is going back. I'm not isolating the muscles in my my shin. It's called the anterior tibialis. So what you do is don't rock back, just stand up straight and really concentrate on just pulling up. And you're going to do that 20 times. Pull up with your toes, and I'll show you 2 other exercises to activate this muscle as well. And after you do that, you should feel, a little fatigue in your shin area. Then you know you're using those muscles. So that's one way to activate them. The other way is just to do like a penguin walk. So that's basically just walking on your heels in that dorsiflex position. And this also kind of goes a little bit with the theme with Parkinson's and improving movement, where we talk about moving differently. So some people can't do this, or it's challenging. So in addition to working the the muscles that improve dorsiflexion, you're moving a little differently. So that's a good one too. And the third one I want to show you is just to take a super band like this. Or if you're in a gym and you have a ankle cuff or something that you could set up. I'm not going to do this too forcefully, otherwise I'll be pulling, because I'm attaching this to actually a piece of furniture. I'll be pulling the furniture across the floor. So don't do this with something that moves like a weight or anything like that. What I've seen actually gym fail videos where somebody attached a band to like a kettlebell, and they were expecting the band, to stretch and exercise them. And then it was kind of like a Wile E. Coyote thing where the band pulled the kettlebell and the kettlebell smacked them like a slingshot. So you don't want to do something like that. So like I said, I'm going to do this very lightly because I don't want the piece of furniture to go flying in. Oh, and let me add one more enhancement to this. You have a yoga block, or you could use a bunch of books or whatever. It's probably best to do this with your foot elevated. So this I'm doing the exercise here, 1 foot at a time. So you get to the point where you got resistance, and then you just pull up. And with any of these exercises, you could just do up to like 22 sets of 20 repetitions, work your way up. So you could, you could pull harder to get more resistance, or use a stronger band, or if you're in a gym that has a pulley system and you put in maybe an ankle cuff here, you change the weight. You could probably get away with like a really light weight on this exercise. So that's another way to do it. And I'm going to go back to the standing dorsiflexion exercise I was talking about, how people cheat on that sometimes by rocking their hips back. I have another fix for that as well. So I said when you're doing this dorsiflexion to not rock back on your hips. Another way to fix that is instead put your back to the wall and do the exercise, and you're less likely to, because you're just about leaning against the wall, you're less likely to cheat, because this holds you kind of in a more of a position where you could easily isolate the muscles. So that's the ankle area, encouraging more dorsiflexion. And I actually have one more that I invented. So this again is a resistance trick. You could I have a stick here, and I have some weights with holes, small weights, and I just put them on top of my foot, and I just hold it with the stick, and you could just pull up like that. And I kind of just invented that the other day. I've done this before too with, if you have a long box that held like for instance, like a cylindrical thing or whatever, you could kind of put some weights in the box and put them on the top of your foot and just hold your hand up here and flex. But that's another way to do it. So that's the ankle area. And having good dorsiflexion, being able to bend will help you move better. And that's a lot of times indicated in the squat. So if you could bend your ankles more, you'll be able to stay more upright in your squat. But also when you're walking, if you can bend your ankles more, you'll be able to get that good motion where you could really drive your foot down into the ground. If you can't get up like this and your feet are already like that, you're just going to be tapping your toes into the ground. So
or your feet turn up and you push off the ball of your foot, and then you get a bunion.
Or you'll be swinging your leg around. Sometimes that's a compensation. You see somebody as they're walking, they're swinging their leg around, and that's kind of because they're kind of like putting the swing is kind of like avoiding jamming their toe into the ground. It's kind of putting it out onto the side so their toe doesn't jam into the ground.
Yeah.
So that's the ankle area, and then we'll move our way up. So all these things are going, if they help you move better, make you more mobile, they'll also help you engage important postural muscles, like like your glutes are an important one, and we'll get to the torso and neck area and things like that. So posture is
Absolutely.
important as well.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. I think, it all starts from the bottom, though. It's from the bottom up, from the ground up, because I mean, we can do some stuff top down, and that's necessary, but walking is statistically the number one movement every day for most people. So it's a foundational movement. It's our most functional movement. And if we're not walking right, it usually causes problems up the kinetic chain, right? Say, do you have any suggestions for hypertension of the knee? Oh, hypertension of the knee.
Hypertension of the knee? You mean
Wonderful.
your knee being overly tight?
So if you don't mind, Jan, we're on like a 10-second delay, and I'm just watching the time because I have to, we have 9 minutes left. Great. If it's tension that's wanting to flex, I'm wondering if it's, extended. Hyperextension. Oh.
Hyperextension of the knee?
Then it kind of be, I mean, I haven't met too many people who have overactive posterior, tibialis anterior or posterior, but I suppose it's possible. But maybe, I wonder if your person has what my daughter has, which is, there's a name for it, but basically it's hypermobility. So like she doesn't stretch, because stretching is actually bad for people who are hypermobile, or you can do damage and get hurt. So if anything, she's doing strengthening. I have a client like that too, highly hypermobile. So we never do any kind of stretching because we just don't need to. She has some muscles that are more active than others, but we're working to strengthen the ones that are, let's say, less active or underactive. It's really the same thing, except that it's improving the length tension relationship around the joint. Yeah. I don't know, Jan. It said it actually locks out when he walks. Well, I don't know. I mean, don't feel like I'm qualified to say just one leg. I don't know if there's maybe a joint issue itself or a nerve issue, because nerves can make muscles do weird stuff. If a nerve compressed the wrong way can cause a lot of different problems. But I'm wondering if because like Brent always says, you never treat an asymmetrical issue with a symmetrical intervention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'd want to do is we want to work on that one leg to create the balances in that, to get it closer, eventually, hopefully even with the other leg or the other side of the body. In this case, we're talking leg.
Yeah, maybe a quadruped, like a quadruped hip extension on the one leg might help, or something like that, or like a donkey kick with the one leg.
Glute.
To try to encourage the movement in the other direction. I don't know.
Seems like maybe, I don't know. I'd have to see the person, Jan. I don't know if the quad is tight, maybe, or release that, but it's not very often people have hams that are lazy, but maybe hamstrings and calves to create that joint motion, or to, let's say, not allow the hyperextension. But that's my first thought. Any thoughts on that, Russ?
Yeah, I mean, there's also we don't know what kind. I don't know if there's any kind of pain or any kind of reaction from your nervous system. There's what they call guarding. Where if you have something that that your body might anticipate, So like, is that leg maybe locking out because it's anticipating that, you know, when the foot hits the ground, um, that's a way of it guarding against, you know, the impact or something like that. I don't know. But Carl brought out a good point about only like releasing and stretching. You know, you can be hypermobile, only stretching things that need to be done. And part of that is just assessing, you know, like I was talking about, looking at your ankle. And if you can't even get up to like 90 degrees, you need to go, you know, you need to go even a little, make a shorter angle there on your dorsiflex. Yeah, then you probably need to release it, but it might be pretty flexible already, and then you won't. So that's something you need to assess.
Jan says he used to be a quadriplegic. Man, that's impressive though that he's, well, sounds like he's making a lot of progress. Do you know why he was I wonder if there's nerve damage, like what happened? And also, I mean, because usually there's a nerve involved or nerves involved when somebody can't move a limb or a digit. Wonder if the insoles would help them just to wake stuff up, you know, or vibration, you know, hypersphere ball or some kind of vibrating thing. I don't know. I probably, yeah, start on the feet.
So distraction might help. Sometimes you just have a gait, I guess what I call maybe a gait disturbance, something that just, because you get like a little extra tightness, as soon as that happens, your body starts to react, and then it almost becomes like a psychological thing. So I think I discussed this in one of our past discussions about, you know, using different distractions or whatever while you're walking to try and take away that compensation that's going on. So you do something different, you know, and maybe on another part of your body. What I did once was I was having dysfunction. I was walking and I was getting like kind of like hobbling on my left side, inefficient movement. And I actually just touched, believe it or not, I just touched my fingers together like this. So I took the distraction away from my legs. And as I was swinging my arms, I just kept my fingers like this and just concentrated on doing this. And it kind of took my mind off the problem. And I let my natural ability, you know, my natural ability to walk just kick in without thinking about it, because I was thinking about this. And when that took over without me being distracted or worried about the dysfunction went away. So it could just be like a reaction, like you start moving and then something feels like a little tight or a little off, and then it just gets worse. And now you're guarding, you know, he's locking out the knee because he's guarding against something or reacting to something. So this is a part of our field sometimes where that's not an exact, you know, it's not an exact science. Sometimes you just just try stuff, and like you don't even necessarily even know the way it works, and sometimes you may not care.
Well, next time we do this, I'm going to have my laptop downstairs and the lights and all that. That's my intention today, was to be down just to get out of this room. I mean, I'm lucky I have this room. I love it, except that I wanted to be standing and moving and demonstrating a couple things, which I'll do next week. Because there are some really cool, I really don't like the word hack. It sounds cheap and it sounds like a shortcut that's probably not good, but that's the only word I can think of. A couple of hacks for flexibility that I've learned that have worked very, very well. And I think they came from the NKT world, neurokinetic therapy. I'm not exactly sure. I don't even know where I learned of them. It might have been in Ireland, but I'm not sure. But there's some really cool stuff that you just remind me too. And when talking about this, you know, where attention goes can like take attention off of something else. Like it could be pain or whatever. Not that you want to ignore pain. Pain is always for a reason. Well, usually I think. So you don't want to have pain and get injured from avoiding or ignoring it. But at the same time, did I tell this story? And I'm sorry if I did. This is actually a true story of a guy who was working on a construction crew and he had his boots on and he stepped on a nail went right up through his boot, and he felt it through his foot.
Ouch.
Now, hear the words that I said. He felt it through his foot in excruciating pain. Excruciating pain. Went to the hospital. They removed the boot. Actually, they removed the nail. Then they removed the boot. Come to find out, it didn't go through his foot at all. It went between two toes, and it just caused a little abrasion or a little bit of bleeding between the toes. But he felt it through his foot because that's where he believed that it was. This is like emergency room stuff that I'm privy to because I have a son who works in an emergency
Oh,
room,
yeah.
and like these stories are it's true. So I mean that particular one is true. So believing in that pain caused him to feel it, even though it wasn't real.
Wow.
It can go the other way too, where you don't think, but
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with the mind. That a lot of stuff with the mind that's been on my mind lately, because I've been watching some discussions and actually talking directly to some people who've been struggling. So and we talk a lot about fall prevention, and a lot of recovering from fall prevention or preventing falls is not just like physical exercise, like balance exercise and everything. A lot of it has to do too with, I think, confidence in how you move. So if you've lost your confidence in how you move, you can't just tell someone, oh, do balance on 1 foot, do this, do that. They're kind of afraid to do almost any type of movement. So what you need to find out is, I don't like, people assisting themselves too much with crutches, walkers, or whatever, but you have to maybe start at that point where you're walking with walking poles, and then when you get comfortable, you gradually move away from the assistance. But you have to get to the point where you feel comfortable and not afraid. So you need to do some exercise that'll show that you're having some success. That'll give you confidence, and you have to move in a way where you feel that you did it, accomplished it, and you did it in a way where you weren't too afraid, and then you kind of work your way up. So
yeah,
the psychology plays a big role in fall prevention, and I'm
it
beginning
does.
to focus on that and realize it more. I can't just
One,
make somebody stand on one leg and say, "Don't be afraid." If they're afraid. They're afraid. I got to make them feel more
yeah,
comfortable.
baby steps sometimes, and then if baby step goes well and there's confidence built, then they believe they can do more, and then it's like this spiral upward. Russ, I'm gonna have to go in a minute.
Okay.
I'm sorry to have to go, but folks, just so you know, we went to once a week for now with this. And of course, what do? I fill up a Thursday to do it in Spanish, which I'm really looking forward to a lot because Laura's going to translate, and we want to have you join us here and there, Russ, to do different things if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
But what it is like you were saying, it's this, you get addicted to sharing and having people. It's not my ego, it's not that at all. It's just that I really appreciate that people appreciate any of this kind of thing. And in Mexico, I mean, they're worse off than we are pandemic wise. They're more in lockdown than we ever thought of being, and it's really rough. And they haven't seen each other in a lot of these places for a year. The best Parkinson Association I know, Parkinson Monterey, every Tuesday and Thursday from like 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're doing their thing. They're doing exercises. They're socializing. They're playing games. They're having a good time. They're a community. They haven't seen each other in a year. And it's devastating for a lot of them. So what we're trying to do is bring a group together and continuing sharing knowledge and information, that because they're starving for it. So anyways, we'll be once a week. For now, we plan on, I think, Mondays at 10 a.m. And if we can do something else once in a while, we will. Do you have any last words of wisdom?
Yeah, I actually have, instead of having, sometimes I close with a poem or a
Yeah.
mental thought or whatever. I have a physical one, and maybe I'll try this every time. As some of you know, I'm into this concept called exercise snacking, which is getting in small
Yes.
bits of exercise during the day, whether at home, around the house. So here's a real quick exercise hacking thing for you for posture. Just when you're hanging out with friends or whatever, just put your hands behind your back like this. While you're standing up, get your shoulders back and just hang out like this. That's it. Simple as that. And this is just a postural exercise to get your shoulders back and stand nice and upright. So that's
a good
all
idea.
I'm sharing.
I
So
like that.
You're just standing like this, and here, watch my shoulders go back. I put my hands back like that, and just stand
Awesome.
like that.
Awesome,
all.
dude. Awesome, dude. Brain
That's
cell number
periodic.
one. Russ is brain cell number one. I'm number two, because Russ is the man. Well, I had to head across town and meet with a client, and then another client, and then I'm back for a nap. So thanks, Jan. And who else do we have here? There's another person who just sent me a friend request. Oh, Beth. Thanks, Beth. Thanks, Jan, and the others who signed in. I can't scroll all the way up. Thank you, my friend Russ. And I'll be in touch with you a little later today about some thoughts I have. Everyone else, will see you next week, 10 a.m. Monday.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, have a great one.
Keep moving.
Keep moving
Stay
and keep
positive.
learning. All right. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.